Among the many fights Detroit has fought, the city's education system is one of the most important. This is a city where district enrollment dropped by over 100,000 students between the years 2000 and 2015. But it is also a city where there are positive efforts on every level to achieve something great for the sake of the community and its residents. One of these efforts is a nonprofit, Excellent Schools Detroit, which has just released a new school information portal and enrollment system that's aimed at improving access to community and education resources. It's called Scorecard. This service caught our attention and became the focus of a research project that we launched at the University of Michigan's School of Information. The purpose of the research was to test the usability of the Scorecard website and see in what ways people have difficulty using it. Scorecard can be found at www.scorecard.excellentschoolsdetroit.org. We're going to look at Scorecard from the point of view of a mother in Detroit searching schools for her child who is hearing impaired. The first thing she sees is a search bar and a few search filter options. She types her zip code. Beyond the initial search view, you are able to begin performing some of the site's more complex functions, including filtering your search by more detailed criteria, viewing a school's geographic location, and comparing multiple schools side by side. The first step in our process was a kickoff meeting with Excellent Schools Detroit. We met with 3 mothers of their team that were involved in the rollout of Scorecard and got to know more about what went into building the site. We also paid a second visit to ESD and sat in on the Acumen user acceptance sessions. These sessions featured feedback from 3 parent users, all of whom had children in Detroit schools. This actually helped us gain an understanding of what their needs and expectations were for the online resources early on in the semester. Then we designed an interaction map that illustrates how Scorecard's information architecture is structured. Once we had a good understanding of how the website works, we began a process of interviewing parents and other individuals who currently help Detroit students select schools and enroll. We asked questions about how they've gotten information on schools in the past, how they typically use computers or other devices with internet access, and what their experience has been with the school enrollment process. Through both personal connections and ESD's network, we were able to speak with a total of 6 people. The goal of this exercise was to collect as much data as possible from people who might realistically use the kind of service Scorecard offers. Working off this information, we generated a series of narrative-based personas that could help inform later design recommendations. Knowing what Scorecard does and what the people who will eventually use it wanted to do, we turned to similar services on the market to see how they stack up in comparison to each other. This was our comparative analysis. Referencing 2 direct competitors, 2 partial competitors, 1 parallel competitor, and 1 analogous competitor, we examined key features of each of these to determine how they compare to Scorecard. Referring back to our interviews, the next step of our process was to conduct surveys. This included similar questions, but was intended to yield a much larger rate than our interviews. Distributing the survey both digitally and in person, we received a total of 20 responses from Detroit parents and 7 responses from non-Detroit parents. While this was about half of what we were aiming for, the respondents provided valuable information that contributed to our final design recommendations. One of the later studies we did was a heuristic analysis, where each member of our team individually tested Scorecard to see how it performed against a set of 10 established usability criteria called heuristics. By looking at how we were able to use the site according to these standards, we were able to do a quick and relatively accurate study on how effective Scorecard will be for people. Our final study was to conduct a usability test by observing other people while they use Scorecard. We recruited parents of children in grades K through 12 to complete 3 predetermined tasks centered around Scorecard's main features. As the test subjects completed each task, we asked that they talk out loud about their process so we could both see and hear any difficulties they experienced. We also took notes and recorded the interactions for more accuracy. Now on to our primary findings and recommendations. Our top finding is that after executing a search, users of Scorecard can't see the keywords or filter options that were used in the search. To mitigate the difficulty this poses for users, we recommend simply revealing the keywords or filters that users entered in the search results. This will improve the user's experience by not having to rely on memory and recall. Related to finding 1, our next finding is that if users execute a search based on specific criteria, navigate into a school profile, and then return to the search page, the search criteria they specified previously is erased. To fix this, we recommend that ESD modify filters so that users can see the keywords or filter options that they selected after navigating further into the site and then returning to the search page. Another key finding is that users can only search keywords for address or school names. We found that even though this limitation is marked, users continually tried to search for other keywords that were relevant to their search queries. As a long-term solution for this usability error, we recommend creating a more extensive keyword repository for scorecard search functionality so that users can execute a more customized search to obtain the information that is most relevant. The fourth finding we cover is that certain user interactions cause confusion. A prime example of this is the embedded map on Scorecard that shows users where schools are located. When users identify a school on the map, a dialog box pops up and the school names become clickable. But when the user clicks on this, they are taken to a Google Maps search for the school instead of the school's website. In our heuristic evaluations and usability testing, it was revealed that users expected to be taken to the school's website in this scenario. As a workaround for finding 4, we recommend simply linking to the official school's website when users click on the school name in the map view. Separately, we also found that on each school profile page, users felt that the information architecture did not feature the most key information prominently. To improve Scorecard's information architecture, we recommend making the following changes. Prioritize information based on the user's own needs and motivations. Include photographs of schools to help users visualize each school setting. Incorporate parent commentary into each school's profile so that users have a sense of what the community is saying about each school. Another important discovery was that users felt the method of rating schools on Scorecard was unclear. Specifically, the badges marked RCMD were not intuitive for users, and the letter grading system left users wondering what qualitative criteria were being used to rank schools this way. In order to clarify any confusion around ranking schools, we recommend taking the following steps. Provide a brief upfront explanation of the ranking systems and in what ways they differ across various grade levels. For example, why do some schools use letter grading while others use the medals? Consider other ranking systems, such as those employed by successful information portals, like Yelp. Our seventh and final finding is that when a search query returns a set of results, the scroll bar of the screen is not immediately detectable. Instead, users have to mouse over where the scroll bar is programmed to make it appear. The problem with this is that a search query may return a large list of results where some results are off-screen and require scrolling to view. If the user doesn't see the scroll bar, she or he may assume that there are no more results than those visible on the screen. In order to ensure that users can access every search result provided, we recommend that the scroll bar always be visible. As ESD considers the changes and improvements after the initial rollout, it is imperative that the organization considers internet penetration rate, accessibility for visually impaired, and actual user needs. Detroit's 40% internet penetration rate and device use trends will play a significant role in the adoption of ESD's online enrollment tools. Similarly, the consideration of development best practices that meet federal accessibility requirements is important from both a legal and ethical perspective. Lastly, ESD has placed an emphasis on improving the experience related to enrollment by moving the process online. Our findings revealed that users felt that being able to find information and access referrals that inform their school selection was more important. We highly recommend that ESD consider these 3 areas when evaluating next steps.